Imagine this. You meet someone who seems like a breath of fresh air, a person whose smile lights up the room, whose words inspire and captivate. At first, everything feels perfect, and you can't help but think, have I found a true friend? But soon, strange things start happening. You feel a shift, a subtle but undeniable change. They don't listen as well as you thought they did, or they interrupt just when you start sharing something important. Slowly, a shadow creeps in, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, this person isn't what they seem. The Stoics, masters of perception and resilience, teach us to observe people not just through what they say, but through how they act over time. As Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be good, first believe that you are bad." This isn't about doubting oneself, but about recognizing that we, as human beings, are often flawed in our judgments, and that includes our first impressions of others. Are we equipped to see through the charms and manipulations that some may use to control or deceive us? In this video, we'll explore 5 powerful signs that can reveal when you're dealing with an evil person, a term here that implies someone who actively seeks to disrupt, manipulate, and control. Each of these signs, observed through a Stoic lens, equips us with the wisdom to guard our peace and stay true to ourselves. Stay with us, because by the end, you'll not only know how to recognize these red flags, but also learn how to set boundaries, maintain clarity, and protect your inner tranquility, true to the principles of Stoicism. Now, let's dive into the first sign. Pay close attention, as you might recognize these behaviors in someone around you. 1. The deceptive charmer, masks of illusion. Our protagonist, let's call her Maya, was thrilled when she met Ben. Ben was a figure that seemed larger than life, effortlessly charming and endlessly interested in what she had to say. They met at a mutual friends party, and before long, he was making everyone laugh, weaving stories that seemed pulled from a movie. For Maya, it was a breath of fresh air, a moment she hadn't realized she needed. But as the Stoics remind us, appearances can be deceiving. At first, Maya thought she had found a friend, a person she could confide in, someone who seemed to genuinely care about her thoughts and dreams. But as their friendship developed, she noticed an odd pattern. Whenever she shared something about her own life, Ben would listen for a moment, only to swiftly steer the conversation back to himself. And not only that, but she noticed that he seemed to have this habit with everyone. No matter the topic, it always led back to his stories, his achievements, his pain. How could someone so friendly feel so distant, she wondered. The Stoic warning: be wary of empty charisma. Stoicism teaches us to approach relationships with a clear mind, unclouded by the initial enchantment of charm. This is where apatheia. She began to observe Ben closely, letting go of her initial excitement. Maya noticed how Ben seemed happiest when all eyes were on him, when he could be the center of every story. At social gatherings, he would captivate a room, telling tales and pulling people into his orbit. At first, it felt wonderful to be around him. But over time, she realized he wasn't truly listening to anyone. If someone tried to share, he would interrupt or, worse, downplay their experiences. Maya felt her enthusiasm shift to discomfort as she realized that this friendship was less about connection and more about Ben's need for attention. Ask yourself, do their actions match their words? Have you ever encountered someone like this? Someone who, while charming, always manages to make everything about themselves. Stoicism teaches us to question the true nature of those we interact with and to look beyond surface appearances. As Epictetus teaches, we should be wary of those who thrive on external praise, for they often lack the internal virtues that define true character. For Maya, this was a lesson in discernment. Ben's charm was, in essence, a facade, a carefully constructed persona meant to draw people in. But as time wore on, his true self emerged, a person driven by self-interest rather than genuine connection. The Stoic principle here is simple. Judge others by their actions over time, not by the words they say to captivate you in the moment. Red flags and reflection. Over time, Maya's discomfort grew. She began to feel drained after every encounter, realizing that her time with Ben left her feeling used rather than uplifted. Stoicism teaches us to value our inner peace, and if someone disrupts it regularly, it's a sign worth heeding. For Maya, the turning point came when she shared a vulnerable moment, only for Ben to laugh and redirect the focus back to himself. That was the day she understood fully. Ben's charm was simply a means to an end, a way to gather admiration rather than form any meaningful connection. For Maya, letting go of her illusion of Ben's friendship was difficult but necessary. It was a moment of clarity, a small victory in preserving her peace. This clarity, however, is just the beginning. In the next segment, we'll uncover another sign that, while subtle, can be even more damaging if left unchecked: the subtle art of manipulation. So stay with us as we dive deeper into the mind of a manipulator and learn how to recognize their tactics before they take root. 2. The manipulator. Subtle tactics, hidden intentions. After distancing herself from Ben, Maya felt a sense of peace return. However, it wasn't long before another challenge emerged. This time, it was in the form of a new colleague, Oliver. On the surface, Oliver seemed harmless, soft-spoken, attentive, and always ready to lend a hand. But as Maya would come to realize, his intentions weren't quite as friendly as they seemed. At first, Maya appreciated Oliver's support, especially as she was navigating a demanding new project at work. He often offered to help with her tasks, gave her advice, and even stayed late to assist her, a gesture she took at face value. But as the Stoics advise, true perception requires more than acceptance of appearances. Seneca teaches, to be feared is to fear. No one has been able to intimidate others and at the same time enjoy peace of mind himself. Unmasking manipulation, a Stoic perspective on deceit. Soon, Maya noticed subtle shifts. When she disagreed with Oliver's suggestions, his mood changed. He'd make passing remarks that left her feeling guilty or even questioning her own decisions. There were moments when he'd imply that her hesitation to accept his help was a lack of gratitude, or even hinted that she was failing without his support. It felt confusing, almost as if she were in the wrong, simply for standing her ground. Here, Stoicism reminds us to look beyond the words and observe the motives. Epictetus teaches that manipulators thrive on making others doubt themselves, cloaking their intentions under layers of supposed support. Oliver was creating a subtle web of reliance, designed not to help Maya but to place her under his influence. Have you ever encountered someone who, while helping you, makes you feel smaller, less capable, or even obligated to them? This is one of manipulation's oldest tricks, appearing to serve while undermining self-confidence. Signs of manipulation: gaslighting and guilt-tripping. Maya began to notice more red flags. There was a moment when she politely refused Oliver's offer to review her report. Rather than respecting her decision, he pressed, asking if she felt confident enough to handle it alone. His tone suggested she wasn't, making her question her ability. Stoicism, however, teaches us to find our sense of worth from within, not from the judgments or opinions of others. Here, Epictetus's principle comes to mind. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. In this case, Oliver assumed he knew what was best for her, and Maya needed to remember that her confidence didn't require his validation. Then came the guilt-tripping. Oliver would subtly mention how much effort he'd put into helping her, even making statements like, "If you really value my help, you'd let me support you." Maya started feeling trapped, as though her success and his support were entangled, with an implicit obligation to return his kindness. The Stoic mindset, however, urges us to question what lies beneath the surface and not to be swayed by external pressures. Setting boundaries, a Stoic's shield against manipulation. Stoicism offers tools to stand firm against such tactics. Maya recalled Marcus Aurelius's words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Understanding this, Maya knew she had to set boundaries, communicating clearly and standing her ground, despite the guilt-tripping and insinuations. One evening, after another round of unsolicited advice, Maya addressed Oliver. She thanked him for his support, but firmly stated she'd prefer handling her tasks independently from now on. Oliver's expression shifted. Gone was the soft-spoken charm, replaced by an annoyed glare. "Are you sure you're ready for that?" he asked, his voice dripping with skepticism. But Maya, grounded in her sense of self-worth, simply replied, "I appreciate your concern, but I know what I can handle." For Maya, the experience was eye-opening. Stoicism teaches us to hold on to our inner peace and to distinguish between true kindness and hidden motives. Manipulators often thrive on creating a dependency that undermines your confidence. But Stoic wisdom reminds us that our power lies within us, not in the approval or support of others. Maya's newfound clarity became a shield, allowing her to detect similar behaviors in others and protecting her peace. But her journey of discernment wasn't over. The next behavior she encountered was even more challenging, for it was marked by a complete lack of empathy. Join us in the next segment as we explore the signs of those who, while capable of charm and kindness on the surface, show no regard for the emotions and needs of others. 3. The absence of empathy, the cold void beneath the surface. After handling Oliver's manipulative behavior, Maya felt more confident in her ability to discern others' motives. However, she was soon faced with a different, more unsettling type of person. Someone who appeared considerate but, beneath the surface, showed no genuine regard for others' emotions or well-being. This person was her manager, Evelyn. Evelyn was calm, meticulous, and always professional. She rarely raised her voice, and her critiques were subtle but precise, creating a workplace environment that was both efficient and eerily tense. Evelyn seemed to have little regard for the well-being of those around her. She cared only for results, regardless of the toll it took on her team. The Stoic reminder: empathy as a virtue. At first, Maya admired Evelyn's discipline and dedication, traits the Stoics themselves prized. However, as time passed, Maya noticed that Evelyn's actions went beyond mere rigor. They lacked a fundamental human quality: empathy. Evelyn never asked how her team was doing, nor did she show appreciation for their hard work. If anyone made a mistake, her reprimands were swift and merciless, often delivered in front of others. Stoicism teaches that empathy and compassion are central to a virtuous life, as they connect us to humanity's shared struggles. Have you ever worked under someone who seemed incapable of understanding others' feelings? Someone who treated individuals as tools for productivity rather than human beings? This lack of empathy isn't just a personality quirk, it's a warning sign. As Marcus Aurelius wisely reflected, "What does not benefit the hive is no benefit to the bee." True strength lies in recognizing and supporting the humanity in others, not in stripping it away. Signs of an empathy deficit: indifference to others' pain. One day, a team member named Anna confided in Maya. She was dealing with a difficult personal issue and had requested a day off. Evelyn, however, declined her request, citing productivity targets. Anna's shoulders slumped as she shared her disappointment, feeling both disrespected and trapped. Evelyn's refusal was not a matter of necessity, but a reflection of her indifference. For her, there was no room for compassion, only efficiency. Maya felt her Stoic principles challenged here. As Epictetus taught, every interaction is an opportunity to practice kindness and understanding. But for Evelyn, it was as though others' emotions were invisible, a mere distraction from the real goal. Maya began to see how this absence of empathy was affecting the entire team, creating a culture of quiet frustration and fear. A true lack of joy for others' success. The absence of empathy doesn't only show up in times of distress, it's often just as visible in moments of joy. Maya noticed that whenever someone on the team achieved something significant, Evelyn's reactions were neutral, even dismissive. If a team member completed a challenging task or received recognition from a client, Evelyn would barely acknowledge it. She treated accomplishments as mere obligations fulfilled, never offering praise or encouragement. Stoicism reminds us that a virtuous person celebrates the accomplishments of others, seeing their joy as an extension of their own. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the interconnectedness of all things, and that by uplifting others, we uplift ourselves. However, for Evelyn, any moment of happiness that did not serve her immediate purpose was ignored. This lack of empathy was like a chilling wind, felt deeply but never openly addressed. The Stoic response: protecting one's peace amid indifference. How do you protect your well-being when faced with someone who doesn't care for your struggles or triumphs? For Maya, the answer lay in maintaining her own sense of compassion and empathy, not allowing Evelyn's indifference to change her. She recalled Seneca's advice: "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Evelyn's indifference reflected her own poverty of spirit, a disconnect from the warmth that binds us as human beings. Maya decided to support her teammates where Evelyn did not. She offered encouragement when they succeeded and comfort when they struggled, bringing the Stoic principle of sympathia into action, recognizing the interconnectedness of all lives. While Evelyn's behavior was a reminder of what happens when one lives devoid of empathy, Maya's response reminded her colleagues that compassion and understanding were still present, even in small ways. This experience solidified Maya's understanding of the importance of empathy. Stoicism doesn't just teach us to endure hardships, but to cultivate virtues like kindness and patience in the face of adversity. By recognizing Evelyn's lack of empathy, Maya learned to approach her interactions with a clear mind, realizing that Evelyn's coldness was a reflection of her own shortcomings, not those of her team. In moving forward, Maya became even more vigilant. Her Stoic practice allowed her to understand that while she couldn't change Evelyn, she could strengthen her boundaries and retain her inner peace. But her journey of discernment was not yet complete. Next, we'll explore another sign, one that combines charm with control, as Maya encounters someone who seeks to dominate and manipulate others' choices under the guise of concern. Stay with us as we uncover the mindset of the controlling personality and how to counteract their influence with Stoic resilience. 4. The controlling influence, concern as a cloak for control. With each encounter, Maya's understanding of human nature deepened. She had learned to identify manipulation, recognized the dangers of empty charisma, and understood the cold void of an empathy deficit. Her next lesson came from someone close to her, a friend she had known for years, Rebecca. This time, the lesson would be about control, hidden under the guise of concern and care. Rebecca and Maya had been friends since college, and their bond was once filled with laughter and mutual support. But as Maya grew more aware of Stoic principles, she began to see that Rebecca's influence over her life wasn't entirely healthy. Rebecca would often insist on helping Maya make decisions, even in the smallest matters, such as where they should go for dinner or how Maya should spend her weekends. Stoicism teaches us the value of personal autonomy, and while advice from a friend can be well-intentioned, there is a boundary beyond which it becomes a violation of one's independence. The warning signs. Controlling under the mask of concern. Rebecca's controlling behavior wasn't overt at first. It started with subtle suggestions. "I think you should do this," or "Trust me, this is better for you." But over time, her advice became directives. If Maya tried to make her own decisions, Rebecca would become visibly irritated, often remarking, "I just want what's best for you." At times, she'd even criticize Maya's choices, questioning her judgment if it didn't align with Rebecca's plans. Have you ever had a friend or family member who knows what's best for you to the extent that your own voice feels diminished? Stoicism reminds us to maintain our inner authority, our own reasoned judgment, even in the face of well-meaning but overbearing individuals. Epictetus advised, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Constant monitoring. When care becomes surveillance. As time went on, Rebecca's need for control extended further. She wanted to know where Maya was, who she was with, and how she was spending her time. It began as a friendly check-in, but soon became overbearing. If Maya didn't respond quickly to texts, Rebecca would follow up with, "Are you okay? I was so worried." What initially felt like concern soon became surveillance, with Rebecca inserting herself into nearly every aspect of Maya's life. The Stoic response to this kind of behavior is to recognize it for what it is, an intrusion upon one's freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we should seek to be self-sufficient, free from the need for constant approval or guidance from others. Maya realized that Rebecca's behavior was more about control than concern, a subtle attempt to dominate her life under the guise of friendship. Financial control, a subtle means of dominance. Rebecca's influence wasn't only social, it extended into Maya's finances as well. There was an occasion when Maya was considering a new job opportunity. The role offered more financial freedom, but involved more independence, something Maya was excited about. However, Rebecca discouraged her from taking it, subtly mentioning that the new position could strain her finances, especially since she relied on Rebecca's advice for budgeting. This tactic, as Stoicism teaches, is a dangerous overreach. Self-sufficiency and financial independence are essential for personal freedom. Maya began to see how Rebecca's advice was a means to keep her dependent. Stoicism values self-reliance as a foundation for resilience. Epictetus emphasized that relying on one's internal resources is the path to true freedom, for no man is free who is not master of himself. Setting boundaries, Stoic strategies for regaining control. Maya's eyes were opened to the impact of Rebecca's control on her life. The Stoic practice of setting boundaries became crucial. As Seneca advised, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Maya realized she needed to limit Rebecca's influence to regain her sense of autonomy. Stoicism encourages us to recognize when others' intentions, even well disguised, overstep our boundaries. Maya decided to set firm, respectful limits. She began by sharing less personal information, only informing Rebecca about decisions after they were made. When Rebecca attempted to direct her choices, Maya calmly replied, "Thank you for your advice, but I feel confident in my own judgment." At first, Rebecca pushed back, questioning Maya's decisions even more. However, Maya's persistence and commitment to her boundaries gradually shifted the dynamic. Maya learned a profound Stoic lesson in this experience. True freedom lies in self-governance, not in seeking validation or guidance from others, especially those who overreach. Rebecca's behavior, disguised as concern, was a subtle form of control that ultimately weakened Maya's autonomy. By setting boundaries, Maya took back control of her life, embodying Stoic resilience and independence. But Maya's journey of understanding didn't end here. In her path to discernment, she would encounter one more trait, the most dangerous of all: pathological lying. In the final segment, we'll explore how deceit operates as the ultimate betrayal and how Stoic wisdom can protect us from those who distort truth for their own ends. Join us as we delve into the complex web of dishonesty and learn to safeguard our integrity against deception. 5. The web of deceit, pathological lying, and the erosion of trust. Having gained insights into charm, manipulation, lack of empathy, and control, Maya felt she had become more discerning. However, her greatest challenge was yet to come, for she was about to encounter someone whose behavior could be the most damaging of all. This time, it was her partner, Alex, a person whose lies were so subtle and persistent that they almost went unnoticed. Stoicism teaches us that truth is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, and without it, everything else collapses. Maya and Alex had been together for several months, and initially, things seemed almost perfect. Alex had a way of making her feel special, always saying the right things and painting a vivid picture of their future together. But as time passed, Maya began to notice small inconsistencies in his stories. Little details didn't quite add up, like where he said he was or what he'd been doing. When she questioned him, he would brush it off, saying she was overthinking. This response left her feeling guilty, as though the problem were hers. The Stoic truth: honesty as a pillar of integrity. Stoicism holds truth as a virtue essential to the practice of a good life. Marcus Aurelius stated, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." A person who lies regularly betrays not only others, but also themselves, weakening the bonds that hold relationships together. Maya realized that Alex's lies weren't just small misunderstandings, but part of a larger pattern designed to manipulate her perceptions and control her understanding of reality. Have you ever felt that sinking suspicion, that feeling of unease when someone's words don't match their actions? Stoicism teaches us to listen to our instincts and to trust in the clarity of our own reasoned judgment, rather than allowing others to distort our sense of truth. Gaslighting and denial, the pathological liar's tools. As Maya began to press Alex on certain topics, his behavior shifted. Instead of addressing her questions, he turned the focus back on her, suggesting that she was being too sensitive or paranoid. This tactic, known as gaslighting, is a common tool of the pathological liar. By making Maya doubt her own perceptions, Alex was able to create a reality where his lies went unchallenged. Stoicism emphasizes clarity and awareness, teaching us to question and verify rather than blindly accept. Epictetus reminds us, "The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control." Maya realized that her perception and understanding of truth were indeed within her control, and Alex's manipulation could only succeed if she allowed herself to doubt her own judgment. A pattern of self-serving lies. Over time, Maya noticed that Alex's lies weren't random. They served specific purposes, always positioning him in a favorable light or protecting him from responsibility. When he failed to follow through on promises or disappointed her, he would make up elaborate excuses, crafting stories to deflect blame and avoid accountability. For example, he once promised to help Maya prepare for an important event but failed to show up, later claiming a work emergency that Maya later found out wasn't true. Stoicism encourages us to recognize that lies, however small, reveal deeper issues within a person's character. A person of virtue takes responsibility for their actions, while a deceitful person hides behind falsehoods. Marcus Aurelius warns that the soul is dyed by the color of its thoughts. For someone like Alex, whose thoughts and actions were colored by dishonesty, this deceitfulness had become an ingrained part of who he was. Erosion of trust, the consequence of constant deceit. For Maya, the hardest part was the gradual erosion of trust. Every lie Alex told became a weight on her mind, creating a toxic atmosphere of suspicion and doubt. Stoicism teaches that relationships must be built on a foundation of honesty, as trust allows individuals to work together, share their lives, and face challenges without reservation. Without trust, one is constantly on guard, unable to relax or feel safe. Maya realized that Alex's behavior was costing her peace of mind, making her question her own intuition and judgment. Epictetus advises, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." She recognized that, while she could not control Alex's behavior, she could choose to respond in a way that preserved her integrity and well-being. The decision to let go, protecting peace and integrity. In the end, Maya decided to confront Alex. She approached him calmly and clearly, stating that she was aware of his lies and that honesty was essential to her. His response was defensive and dismissive, further validating her decision. With a steady heart, Maya realized that letting go was the only way to protect her peace and preserve her inner truth. Stoicism reminds us that we must be willing to separate ourselves from those who compromise our values, for in doing so, we remain true to ourselves. Maya's experience taught her a profound Stoic lesson. True strength lies not in accepting deceit, but in standing firm in one's commitment to truth. Pathological lying is a behavior that erodes the very foundation of relationships, and for someone practicing Stoicism, maintaining one's integrity and inner peace is paramount. Through her journey, Maya became well-versed in identifying these 5 signs of harmful individuals. She learned to see beyond charm, to recognize manipulation, to understand the absence of empathy, to resist control, and finally, to protect herself from deceit. Her journey wasn't just about identifying these traits, but about reinforcing her own values and boundaries in the face of them. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot change the nature of others, we can strengthen our response, choosing actions aligned with wisdom, virtue, and inner peace. If you found this journey insightful, I encourage you to share your experiences in the comments. Have you encountered any of these signs? How did you respond? Remember, Stoicism equips us with the tools to remain grounded, discerning, and resilient in a world where such behaviors can easily disrupt our peace. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if it resonated with you. And may you continue to live with strength, wisdom, and virtue. Thank you for being part of this Stoic journey.